What's up, guys? Hey, it's James. So in one of the intensives, they were talking about, do you know your numbers, right? How many strategy sessions did you have this month? How many of those did you close? What is your close ratio, right? And I was just thinking, well, I was tinkering around with like counting up variables and using math functions in HighLevel. And I was thinking, well, if I had a strategy session calendar appointment reminder, what if I just started adding one to a variable every time somebody went through there? I would increment the value of that variable. And then every time I drug a contact over to closed, or maybe I changed the status to 1 or kicked off my onboarding, then I would increment a different variable and say that's how many I had 1. And then if I divided, if I got 8 of those, if I got 8 that were 1 out of 16 total sessions, then I could do the math and I had a 50% close ratio for that month. And then I have this other tutorial where I was teaching about you can, on a workflow schedule, every month you can kick off a workflow and then I can like reset variables. And so I was just starting to see all the different pieces of the puzzle together to be able to kick off an email that would keep track of your close rate for the month. This was primarily made for those in the 7-figure agency, but I'm sure other people will benefit as well. So if you guys want to take a look at that, let's go over to my computer. So this is the kind of email that I can send now. Hey, James, your strategy session summary for last month, you closed 7 out of 15 appointments. That's a 46% rate. Keep up the great work. So here is the overview. I'm trying out Prezi this time here. Trying to show the entire process. I thought that was kind of cool. So here's the email that you already saw, right? We're going to need those variables that we talked about. So here's the variables. Those are going to be stored in custom values. Okay. So I just went in and I made new custom values, total monthly sales calls, total monthly 1 sales calls. So total that you won. And then I have another variable just for calculating the 2. So I could have a close rate. Okay. So you're going to need 3 custom values. And then I'll show you where they all get used as well. So let's do this. Let's take a look at this one here. This is your sales appointment reminder sequence. So however you kick these off and remind people to attend, you're going to make use the math function to add 1 to the total number of sessions, okay? And then the other part of this workflow is just like creating the opportunity so you can kind of start to see in your pipelines here that someone is like maybe appointment booked or new lead. So now they're in your appointment workflow and they're in your pipeline. So from there, if you end up dragging that contact over or you change the status to 1, then you're going to kick off this other workflow, which I'm calling the deal closed workflow. Okay. So you have 2 different triggers here depending on your flow. Some people like to drag it over to closed maybe. Maybe you like to change the status to 1. I think probably changing it to 1 is cleaner, but whatever makes most sense to you. And then all this does right now is, and this might be kicking off your onboarding, for example, but all I do is add 1 to the total of 1 sales calls. Okay, so now I've got that number kind of all throughout the month being added to. So whatever those numbers are. Then once that's all ready, then this kicks off this other workflow, monthly sales call report. This kicks off at the end of every month. And you could run it at the first of the month. You could run it towards midnight, but the idea is you kind of want to close out the month, right? So the first thing I do is I just go and calculate the close rate. Just a simple math function. I basically just divide the 1 number by the bottom number, and then I times it by 100, and that's how I get the percentage there, okay? And then I fire off the email, and I'm just referencing those variables in the email, custom value merge fields, okay? And then as the reset, so to speak, I'm just going to go ahead and take all those numbers that I had for the month and reset them to 0 so they're ready to start counting again for the next month. So what do you think about that? I think it's kind of cool. At least it's, I don't know, a fun use case of bringing together a lot of different elements that you can pull together with HighLevel. So if you want to get into it a little bit more, we can actually open up these steps and show you just a little bit more what's going on there. So here's the actual custom values, nothing crazy there, just the 3 different variables that we talked about. And then let's go ahead and go through the 3 workflows. So here we are on the first one. This is just your appointment reminder sequence for your sales calls. So basically, you're probably just going to come into yours that you already have and then inject this little math function here. So you're just going to pick, this is the one where you're adding to the total number of all calls, not necessarily the ones that you won and sold, but this is just keeping that count of the total number of calls for that month. So you're going to pick that variable, and then each time someone comes through the workflow, you're going to add 1 to that number. And so then you'll actually be updating that exact same number every time. Okay, so you're just creating that little incrementer there. Okay, and then this is just to kind of show you the example of, hey, yeah, we're going to, have something else in the workflow that adds them to the pipeline and that kind of thing. Yours is probably already existing. Maybe it's the stage is appointment booked or something like that. But for the sake of example, you have an opportunity that you're working with there. And so from there, you have that person sitting there, and then you drag them over to closed, or you drag them over to 1, for example, as that kind of thing. So 2 different possible triggers would be what kicks off your onboarding sequence, right? Or I'm calling it the deal closed or 1. And so here's those two different triggers. And you can see I did the pipeline stage change to closed, right? Or you could also do pipeline status is now set to 1, for example. And then this is really simple. You're just going to use a math function, and now you're going to change the 1 variable. So we're going to add 1 at a time. Every time someone comes through there, we're going to add 1 at a time, and we're going to update that exact same field. So pretty simple there. Now, the one that is going to fire on a monthly basis is this one here. This is what I'm calling the monthly report. And you can see here that I'm using the new trigger we've recently released called the scheduler. So if I wanted to go find it fresh, it's right here. Scheduler basically means you don't have to have a contact. This thing will just run on a timer. So that's kind of cool. And I just said, hey, let's go ahead and run this at the end of the month on the 31st. And yes, February has 28 days, and it's smart enough to know that it might be 30 days or 29 on a leap year or 28 on February. I went ahead and set this to run at 18 o'clock, so 6 p.m. In that rare case that you did a strategy call at 9 p.m. on the last day of the month, and maybe your numbers would be off by 1, but you can tweak that to your needs. I thought this was really cool. You can kind of just double check your scheduling. So yeah, that's going to run on November 30th, December 31st, January 31st. So it kind of gives you a preview of when this thing is going to fire. So that's pretty cool. First thing this does when it comes into the workflow is it's going to get that close rate, just a real basic math calculation. We're just going to take that first number, the total number that we won, and we're going to divide them by the total number of all calls. Okay. And then we're going to times that by 100 to make it nice to work with in the email. And then I'm just going to update a different field this time. I'm actually updating the close rate. And that's that third variable that we made. I give it just a little bit of time here to save, make sure that gets saved because I'm just about to use it right away. And then this is the email that we saw at the beginning of the training. And I just quickly put this in here. But yeah, you have your different variables and then I used, I guess this is important, I did use an internal notification because this isn't meant to have a real contact go through here. It's contactless. And so I just did a custom email for my user type on an internal email notification. You could send this to multiple people on your team. So that's the email. And then the last little bit is just basically resetting all of those 3 variables that we made back to 0. So they're ready to go for the next month. And how that looks is basically you just subtract whatever you are from yourself, and that should put you back down to 0. So total monthly 1, subtract the same thing, and then update yourself. And then I repeat that for total, and then for the close percentage. And then one more thing to just kind of add some more historical data to this is to go ahead and write out each month's record as a row in a spreadsheet. So something like this. So just go ahead and make a quick spreadsheet, or maybe integrate it in the one you already have. But yeah, just I was thinking, month and year, there's your one column, there's your total, there's your ratio. And then we're just going to use like a month variable and a year variable. And then we're just going to write those records out every month. So let me show you how I would do that. First of all, anytime you're doing math like this here and saving fields, it's probably best just to, as a best practice, just to wait an extra minute in between steps before you go ahead and use that number that did the calculation on, just to give it time to save to the database. I've seen where the numbers aren't quite right. And so that kind of will help with that. I am working with the developers to hopefully fix that. But for now, if you ever see your numbers are just not quite right or they're off, just give it extra time to save before it uses that calculation in the next step. Just a little side note there. So yeah, if you have not used these premium actions here, they do cost a little bit, but they're pretty reasonable. There is this create spreadsheet premium action. And so I can show you what it looks like, an overview here. But basically, I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to do right now month, and then right now year. That's going to give me those variables. And then I'm just going to put those custom values in those three spots. And we can do this real quick together if you want. So I'm just going to hit the plus sign. And I'm going to say create sheets, Google Sheets. Okay. Send data to Google Sheets. Action will be create spreadsheet row. And then choose an account. And choose a drive. And then pick the sheet. So 7FA monthly sales tracker is what I called it. And then usually it's going to be that first sheet. You could name that if you wanted. And then starting column will be the month and the year. And the ending column will be ratio of D. So then I'm going to enter these four values in. So month, year. Okay, let's do one. So custom value. So contact, custom fields. We're going to go here to custom values. I put them in a folder. So that's going to be monthly strategy sessions 1. And then the total number of strategy sessions is going to be total. And then the ratio is going to be custom values, and then the close rate right there. We're still looking for month and year. I'm going to just grab it for now out of here. Just because it's having issues. It's usually not a big deal. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick that right there. If you want to know where you can get those, there is the merge field documentation, which is here. List of merge fields. And you can see like right now. So I can get the name of the month right there, month name. I can get the year by using year. So that's where I kind of got that from. Just for whatever reason, the picker wasn't working very well. So, yeah, I think that's about it. Let me know if that's helpful, guys, and we'll see you in the next training. Take care.